Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
Hi, this is D.K. Singh. I'm here with another episode of Politically Correct, my weekly show. I was in vacation, of course, so I'm back. And now the first episode after my vacation is about the friendship between Sonia Gandhi and Mamata Banerjee and how it's going through difficult times. So before I come to that, why it's going through difficult times and what are the conflicting political interests which are actually creating a problem, let me take you back to the meeting convened by Sonia Gandhi on the 20th of August. She had convened a meeting of, actually there was a meeting on the 20th, that meeting took place, 19 opposition parties participated in that. But let me tell you some background of that meeting, what happened behind the scenes, which would actually give you an idea of the developing friction. So it's not out in the open yet, but you see some differences actually cropping up. So what had happened? I'm talking about some behind the scenes developments. So in the run up to the meeting, Sonia Gandhi actually delegated this task of coordinating with opposition parties to a general secretary, K.C. Venugopal, who is a close aide of Rahul Gandhi. Now Venugopal delegated it to another person, a social media handler actually in the party. These persons, not just one, actually 2-3 persons started contacting the opposition leaders, and many opposition leaders were hurt because earlier whenever Sonia Gandhi wanted to have a meeting with the opposition parties, a senior functionary such as Ahmed Patel, her then political secretary, he used to coordinate, he used to call up all these opposition leaders, and then the meeting would happen, agenda would be set, everything would be decided. But Ahmed Patel passed away last November. After that, you do not really have somebody who has that kind of, not many leaders who have that kind of equations across political parties. And then the seriousness is somehow also lacking. So you saw some junior functionary of the Congress who is handling the social media department reaching out to the opposition leaders, trying to make contacts with them and coordinate with them, which did not really go down well with these leaders. Anyway, so this was communicated to them, and at some point of time Sonia Gandhi also came in the picture when she was informed about how they were upset, but there were many other reasons for these opposition leaders to get upset. So they got an agenda from 10 Janpath, which also had this order of speakers. Now the order read like, so Sonia Gandhi was to speak first, then Sharad Pawar, then Mallikarjun Kharge, then Sitaram Yechuri, and then chief ministers and all. Now Trinamool Congress really got upset about it. Although on Sunday evening, actually, I was talking to a senior Trinamool leader who denied that there was any goof up as such, but I have had it confirmed from multiple sources. Trinamool Congress was really upset, and finally the matter went to Sonia Gandhi, and then the entire order was changed because Trinamool Congress's objection was that who is Sitaram Yechuri? I mean, where is the CPIM in West Bengal today? How can he speak? He will speak before the chief ministers. They were not impressed by the fact that Rahul Gandhi still looks up to Sitaram Yechuri as his friend, philosopher and guide, but that apart. So that order was changed, and after that it was decided that okay, first Sonia Gandhi will speak, then Sharad Pawar, then Mamata Banerjee, M.K. Stalin, Uddhav Thackeray, so on and so forth. Anyway, then another point of friction was this draft statement. So opposition leaders were under this impression that draft statement had been prepared by Sitaram Yechuri. And when I say opposition leaders were upset, you know who I am talking about, because Yechuri otherwise has a very good rapport with leaders across the political spectrum. So you can understand who must be objecting to it. Anyway, so when the meeting started and it was Mamata Banerjee's turn to speak, she minced no word. And she was talking about how CMs were not given the kind of priority they should have initially, how this draft statement was prepared, because after any meeting you prepared a statement after the meeting, not before that meeting. I mean, she insisted. That has actually been decided now that there won't be any draft statement in future. Then she had issues like, why didn't you call the Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, because when we are talking about opposition unity, why should you be leaving out Kejriwal, and so on and so forth. So why I am taking you to that is, taking you into these details, is just to show that where that friction was actually kind of surfacing in the opposition alliance, or the incipient opposition alliance, I would say. this is not the first time. You would say, well, we know all about it, because every time you have seen such efforts of bringing all the opposition parties together, at some point of time, conflicting interests, conflicting ambitions creep in, and you see such alliances actually getting splintered sooner or later. So it was in this context that I am telling you about, what you call the seeding of those differences. Anyway, so about 7-8 days after that meeting, Saturday actually, Mamata Banerjee has given a statement. She wants to convene a meeting of opposition chief ministers, saying that they are being targeted by the centre. She accused the centre of being authoritarian and said that all the opposition CMs should meet. There's an interesting aspect to it. When she is trying to convene a meeting of opposition chief ministers, well, we have to see whether Congress chief ministers attend that or not. But it should be interesting if that meeting happens. Mamata Banerjee presiding over a meeting of opposition chief ministers. I am not sure whether Congress CMs will attend that, because if they attend, so you see Sonia Gandhi presiding over one meeting, then you have Mamata Banerjee presiding over another meeting. Of course, subtext will be different, but that tells you the story, or that gives you a kind of glimpse of that tug of war, I would say, between, say, the Congress leadership and the Trinamool Congress leadership for getting that, leadership mantle, that who is the driving force, who is going to be the force who will be bringing the opposition parties together. And this is here, and then talking about opposition alliances, of course, just to, while in passing I can just mention that, Om Prakash Chautala is also trying to actually form a third front, and he has said that in September he will be bringing to all the third front parties, all the opposition parties to actually form the third front. Anyway, so let's wait and watch. These efforts will keep on going actually for the next 3 years, as you know, 2.5 years, until 2024 elections. We'll see second front, third front, fifth front, whatever front takes shape or does not take shape. But in that context, we are talking about Mamata Banerjee and Sonia Gandhi's equations. So Mamata Banerjee, for instance, we are talking about the conflicting interests, how they have been good friends, and as you know, like they have been friends in 1980s. It was Rajiv Gandhi who actually propped up Mamata Banerjee. I mean, he appointed her Youth Congress General Secretary. He gave her a lot of opportunities in the party. Actually, when she was brutally attacked in 1990, Gandhis took care of her. I mean, she was in the hospital. So she still respects Rajiv Gandhi a lot. And that is why her equation with Sonia Gandhi had been pretty good, despite differences. Mamata Banerjee walked out of the Congress. In 2012, she walked out of the UPA too. But that has not really affected their equations. And again, I forgot to mention, in West Bengal, this time Congress tally is 0. Mamata has decimated the Congress in West Bengal too. She has pushed many of the senior Congress leaders in West Bengal. Congress might have been hurt, and as we know that Rahul Gandhi is definitely hurt. But this has not changed the equations between her, that personal equation I am talking about, between her and Sonia Gandhi. But things are changing now. What Sonia Gandhi is batting for, when she is trying to be the force behind that opposition coalition, what she is trying to do. I mean, she has to secure her son's future. Whenever, or in the event of any opposition coalition coming to power in future, she being the driving force. But at the same time, you see efforts on the part of the Trinamool Congress leadership to somehow be there, to keep all possibilities open. So you don't give that leadership mantle definitely and finally to Sonia Gandhi. And this is why you see that tussle or tug of war I am talking about. But the conflicting interests which are kind of cropping up very fast and which would actually have a bearing on their friendship are actually emerging in the Northeast. So you have seen the Congress has let Mamata Banerjee run away with its leaders, has allowed Mamata Banerjee to kind of decimate the party. I mean, you have very few Congress leaders who are speaking about it now. So somebody like Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary probably, he speaking against Mamata Banerjee, but otherwise Congress is more or less reconciled to the fact that, okay, West Bengal, I mean, let's leave West Bengal to Mamata Banerjee. But what the Trinamool Congress is doing now is to set its feet in, in the Northeast. Not that Trinamool Congress is not there. You have a couple of MLAs, 3 MLAs, 4 MLAs here and there in different states in the Northeast. Say in Manipur, for instance, Trinamool Congress has MLAs. One of its MLA, one Trinamool Congress MLA in Manipur was actually supporting the BJP government. But when we talk about the Northeast, see, everything is clear. The stage is quite set. So you have the BJP along with its NEDA partners, NED, Northeastern Democratic Alliance. It's a loose coalition of regional parties with the BJP, and they are ruling all the states. So either you have BJP ruling the state or other NEDA partners. So it's the NDA ruled Northeast. And the principal opposition in all these states is Congress party. In Tripura, of course, the CPIM is there, the left parties are there. But otherwise, Congress is the principal opposition in the Northeast. Now, Trinamool is looking at that territory. So you saw how Mahila Congress chief and a very prominent former Congress MP, Susmita Dev, she was inducted into the Trinamool Congress just 4 days before Sonia Gandhi's meeting on the 20th of August. Then you have, the Trinamool Congress talking with other forces there. Say Akhil Gogoi, Trinamool Congress is negotiating with him for an alliance. In Tripura, IPAC, this entire Prashant Kishor driven poll consultancy firm, IPAC volunteers are right there in Tripura. They are trying to emerge as the principal opposition party right now, dislodging, say, the Congress and the left from that perch. So they are threatening the Congress existence in Tripura too. In Assam, where Congress is the principal opposition party, Trinamool Congress is trying to dislodge the Congress from that position in Assam. And it will go on. In Tripura, for instance, Trinamool Congress, Mamata Banerjee has already met Pradyot Debbarman. You must have heard of him, very bright young leader. Now, Pradyot Debbarman was made Tripura Congress chief in 2019, as you are aware. A few months later, he quit the Congress. Early this year, I think February or March, he founded his own party, Tripura. And that party is gaining prominence. Because Debbarman, he's from that erstwhile royal family of Tripura, and he has his influence. So if he joins or if he merges his party with Trinamool Congress or has an alliance with the Trinamool Congress, it will be a formidable force. Because you have seen the Congress and the CPM and the other left parties kind of totally losing ground in Tripura. So when you have Trinamool Congress turning the heat, not just on BJP, but also more on the Congress, I would say today, because BJP remains BJP and its partners are in power there. The challenger, Trinamool Congress wants to be the challenger there. Who does it hurt more? Which party? It's the Congress. So Congress party, Congress leadership in Delhi must be watching all this. It's like first you snatch West Bengal away. You would say that Trinamool Congress snatched it from the communist parties. But the fact is, Trinamool Congress, the hold that the Congress had at the opposition party there, the principal opposition party, that is gone. Trinamool Congress has subsumed the Congress in a big way there in West Bengal. Now in the Northeast, if that is the project, what will happen to the Congress there? And it's a big challenge to the Congress. And the irony is, who is the driving force in the expansion of the Trinamool Congress? It's poll strategist Prashant Kishor. So when Susmita Dev would be meeting Mamata Banerjee, Prashant Kishor would be there. He would be negotiating with Susmita Dev's defection from the Congress. He is the one talking with Akhil Gogoi also. He is the one talking with Pradyot Debbarman also. And at the same time, he is meeting Congress leaders here and advising them on reviving the party. It's an irony. Let's see, and there are talks about he joining the Congress also. So how does he manage it? It's very interesting. Congress is looking up to you as somebody who would revive the party, who would join the party and revive the party. And then you are helping the Trinamool Congress expand its footprints across the Northeast and try to dislodge the Congress first as the principal opposition force. But that's happening, that's politics. Anyway, so that's why I'm saying, will these conflicting political interests in the Northeast allow this friendship to continue? We don't know, because we have seen in Rahul Gandhi's case, for instance, in Kerala, Left Front defeated the Congress this time in Kerala, UDF versus LDF battle. So Left Democratic Front has finished the Congress. I won't say finished, but they got a historic win. Congress could not come back to power. And Rahul Gandhi was steering the entire campaign of the Congress in Kerala. And still, his friendship with Sitaram Yechuri, the CPIM General Secretary, continues. So the party may be losing ground in Kerala at the hands of the left, but that does not impact his equations with Sitaram Yechuri. Can that happen here in the case of Mamata Banerjee also? Okay, fine, the Congress may be losing in the northeast, but the friendship between the Gandhi or between Sonia Gandhi and Mamata Banerjee continues. We don't know, looks difficult because it's about, as I said, Sonia Gandhi trying to secure her son's future, and Mamata Banerjee having her eyes set on Delhi. Whichever way it goes in coming months and years, there are interesting times ahead for political bird watchers like you and me. That's all from me in this episode of Political Correct. Thanks for watching.